All right, I'm coming at you again with another video related to smoking a pipe. One of the common problems that people run into when they're smoking a tobacco pipe is that they'll light it and then they smoke it and then the flame goes out and they have to keep relighting and relighting and relighting. So I've been guilty of this myself, and it all comes down to how you pack the pipe. In my previous video, or one of my previous videos, I talked about packing the pipe and how to do it, and setting it up with like 3 pinches and how you pack each of those pinches in the pipe. And that is a great method to use, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, and some of it actually comes down to the individual person. Every person's different. Some people are more wet smokers, and they just tend to generate more saliva and wetness, and that can dampen the pipe and the tobacco as you're breathing in and out. And some people are drier smokers, so it kind of just depends on that. And also, some people are more deep inhalers, some people are not as deep inhalers, so all of it sort of depends on the person. But overall, the most important variable when it comes to packing the pipe is this, and this is the main thing to keep in mind, is you don't want to underpack it so that it's too light, but you also don't want to overpack it, and that's the mistake I tend to make. I tend to try to cram too much in there, and I pack it a little bit too tight. The idea essentially is you want a good amount of airflow. So you want to have enough of the tobacco in there that you have an adequate amount, and that you've packed it, in its various forms, stages. Kind of lighter on the bottom, then a little bit heavier, then a little bit heavier even after that on the third pinch. But again, regardless, you do need to make sure there's an adequate amount of airflow. If you overpack it, you're not going to be able to get that draw, and the air's not going to be able to come in, and what's going to happen is it's going to die out. Conversely, if you underpack it, there's too much air, and the flame's not going to hold. So you want it to be tight enough that it's going to hold the flame, but loose enough that the air can still flow through it evenly. And then once you get that figured out, you're going to have a better experience, and you're going to be able to make it last longer. You're not going to constantly have to relight it. So some of it's just going to be trial by fire, no pun intended. But just based off that information, you're probably going to know what your problem is. You're probably going to be like, oh, you know what, that makes sense. I'm probably underpacking my pipe, and that's why it's going out. Or conversely, I'm overpacking it. I'm trying to cram too much in there, or I'm pushing it down too tight. So it's just a fine line. When you're packing it, you're not packing it real hard. You're kind of just lightly tapping it in, just to kind of get it in there and get it to hold, but still allowing for airflow. Another point, if you have one of these little tools, or again, you could use a nail, is sometimes a poker can actually be a good tool to sort of open up the tobacco. Even if you've lit it and you set it down and then you come back to it later and you want to relight, just by repacking it a little bit and then taking that little poker and just kind of poking through to make sure there's adequate amount of airflow, that's also going to help you a lot. So hopefully that's helpful. Those are a couple tips. But again, just think of that in your head, that you need to be able to get air coming in evenly, but not so much air that it can't get a nice solid flame and it's not going to hold the flame. So you want it holding the flame, but also still getting airflow. And then it's just kind of trial by fire. Try some different packing. Try being a little lighter. Try being a little harder. Try using less tobacco, more tobacco, and then go from there. And you'll figure it out, and then you'll get it right. And then you won't be relighting all the time. So have a great day.